Welcome back to Mega Stadiums. Today, we're diving into the future of Arsenal's Emirates Stadium and the ambitious plans that could reshape one of the Premier League's most iconic arenas. From adding 20,000 seats to upgrades that go beyond football, we'll explore what could be next for the Emirates and what it might mean for fans and the club. This is more than just an expansion. It's a project that could redefine the stadium experience in London and set a new benchmark for football arenas across Europe. Let's get started. Arsenal's move from Highbury to the Emirates Stadium in 2006 represented one of the most consequential relocations in the club's long history. After 93 seasons at their historic former ground, the club elected to trade the intimacy of Highbury for a larger, modern venue that could support sustained commercial growth and a more ambitious matchday offering. The decision to relocate was not simply a change of address, it was a strategic pivot toward long-term financial stability, increased global profile, and the ability to compete with the modern stadiums being developed by other elite clubs. The Emirates was conceived and delivered as a contemporary specialist sports venue. Built between 2004 and 2006, the project was led by the internationally recognized stadium architect Populous and completed at an approximate cost of £390 million. The scale and technical complexity of the build reflected both the constraints of the North London site and the club's ambition to create a facility that met the demands of elite football, corporate hospitality, and large-scale events. When it opened, the Emirates immediately established itself among the top tier of English stadiums by capacity and facilities, offering roughly 60,000 seats and modern hospitality, media, and corporate amenities that significantly expanded Arsenal's commercial footprint. At the time, it was the second largest stadium in the league, surpassed only by Old Trafford, and symbolized the club's ambitions both on and off the pitch. Nearly 2 decades later, however, that relative position has changed as other clubs have built new stadiums or expanded existing ones. Today, the Emirates ranks behind Old Trafford, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, London Stadium, and Anfield, reflecting how the Premier League landscape has evolved. Despite this, demand for Arsenal tickets has remained extraordinarily high. Home games consistently sell out, and the club reportedly has around 100,000 supporters on the waiting list for season tickets, highlighting a clear imbalance between demand and capacity. Against this backdrop, Arsenal's leadership, including Josh Kroenke, has indicated that the club is exploring major renovations roughly 19 years after the stadium's opening, aiming both to restore the Emirates' position among England's premier venues and to unlock additional matchday capacity and revenue. Although Arsenal have not published a definitive master plan, the club's stated ambition is clear: to create substantially more capacity at the Emirates while transforming the venue into a major multi-use hub for football, concerts, and large events. The most exciting part of this vision for fans is the possibility of adding 15,000 to 20,000 seats, lifting the stadium's capacity into the 75,000 to 80,000 range. That would make the Emirates one of the largest arenas in Europe. Because the site is so constrained, the club has been looking at a small number of bold but very different approaches, rather than a quick, simple fix. That context explains why the conversation keeps coming back to 2 headline options: build up or dig down. The first is the most eye-catching, redesigning the roof to allow the construction of a new upper tier. This would mean dismantling or heavily modifying the existing roof structure, then extending the bowl upward to create thousands of new seats along with premium boxes. The benefit is clear: a major boost in capacity without disturbing the lower stands. The challenge, however, is obvious. Modifying the roof structure would be one of the most complex and expensive engineering projects in English football, and it could take years to complete. The second path is less spectacular, but more surgical: lowering the pitch and expanding downward, either by adding an extra inner tier or bringing fans closer to the action. That approach could improve sightlines and add seats without altering the stadium's outer profile. Still, digging beneath an active stadium raises serious challenges with drainage, foundations, and access, and it would also reduce capacity temporarily. It's a bold option, but one that carries its own risks of disruption. No matter which design Arsenal decide on, how they plan and manage the project will shape everything. The most realistic path forward is doing it in phases, working during off-seasons, closing just parts of the stadium rather than shutting the whole thing, and coordinating really well with contractors so matches and European games aren't messed up too much. At the same time, Arsenal will need approval from the councils and transport authorities, because bigger capacity means more people arriving, especially using stations like Highbury in Islington and Drayton Park, as well as Holloway Road and the Arsenal tube stop. Expect that any expansion plan that goes ahead will come with conditions to bump up capacity and access at those stations, and likely improvements to the surrounding roads and pedestrian routes. In the end, the 15,000 to 20,000 new seats are the headline, but the bigger story is ambition. If these plans are realized, the Emirates would no longer just be one of the Premier League's most modern grounds. It would stand as one of the great multi-use stadiums in Europe. The financial scale of a possible Emirates redevelopment is enormous. Early estimates suggest the project could cost somewhere between £300 million and £400 million. Remarkably close to the £390 million it took to build the stadium back in 2006. Arsenal are already one of the Premier League's richest clubs, and their 2023-24 season underlines just how strong their finances have become. The club posted record revenues of around £617 million, driven by growth across matchday income, broadcasting, and commercial streams. Such a figure is significant, but in the context of the club's current financial strength, it makes the potential investment challenging yet potentially justifiable when weighed against the long-term benefits. Right now, Arsenal generate around £4.2 million in matchday revenue for every home game, a figure that reflects ticket sales, hospitality, and premium seating at the Emirates. Expanding the stadium to between 75,000 and 80,000 seats could push that number up to roughly £5.5 million per match, a boost that would add tens of millions of pounds over a full season. The extra seats wouldn't just mean more tickets sold, they would also allow for more premium hospitality, corporate boxes, and fan experiences, all of which carry higher revenue per person. On top of that, transforming the Emirates into a bigger, more flexible venue would increase its appeal for concerts, large-scale events, and even international matches, creating additional income streams beyond football and strengthening the overall commercial case for the expansion. Timelines for a project of this scale are always long. Liverpool's expansion of the main stand at Anfield took about 3 years from start to finish, and Manchester City's Etihad expansion, which began in 2023, is still ongoing. Any serious redevelopment of the Emirates would likely follow the same pattern: phased construction stretched over several seasons, with certain areas closed or reduced in capacity while work is completed. That means short-term disruption, but it's the only way to deliver such a massive transformation while still keeping the stadium active. One interesting wrinkle is that Arsenal decided not to put the Emirates forward as a venue for Euro 2028. The official reason was to focus on the club's own priorities, but it also clears the way for the stadium to be available for concerts and events during that summer, or possibly to already be in the middle of construction work by then. Either way, it shows how carefully the club is thinking about timing and how an expansion project could fit into Arsenal's long-term calendar. And that's a closer look at Arsenal's plans for the Emirates Stadium and what the future could hold for one of London's most iconic arenas. What do you think about the possibility of a 15,000 to 20,000 seat expansion and turning the Emirates into a major multi-use hub? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell so you don't miss any video, and remember, swipe and hype. Thanks for watching. See you next week.